Okay, today we're going to look at solving quadratic equations, and we're going to use factoring to do that. So it's the same as what we did with factoring, the only thing that's different now is we have an equation. So the quadratic equation is going to be equal to 0, and if it's not, you want to make it equal to 0, just by moving things around. And then once it's equal to 0, you're ready to solve. So what you want to do is you want to factor the equation, just like we did yesterday. So you want to look at what two numbers multiply to give you 6, and add up to give you 5. So in this case, you'd have a 3 and a 2, both of them being positive. So x plus 3 and x plus 2. And you want to figure out what's going to make those things equal to 0. So because they're both positives, the opposites then would make them 0, right? Because if we have x plus 3 equal to 0, if x was equal to negative 3, that would make that factor 0. And for the second one, if x was equal to negative 2, that would make that factor 0. So you're just solving the factors of what would make each one of them equal to 0. So in most cases, it's just the opposite of whatever the sign is in front. So if we have, let's look at the next one here down below. We have a 3 out front. Remember, we got to get rid of that 3. So if we divide everything by 3, we have that. So now what we want to do is ask ourselves what multiplies to give us 4 and adds up to give us 2. And I made a mistake. I messed up. That should be... Let me erase this. I meant for that to be a 9. So we divide by 3, we'd have a 3. So what times what gives us 3 and adds up to 2? We'd have negative 3, 3 and 1. Yeah, sorry, I messed up again. We want positive 3 and negative 1. Will work, so I want this to be a negative as well. Okay, so our two factors then will be positive 3, so x plus 3, and negative 1. So they multiply to give us negative 3, they add together to give us 2. And that's it. So once you have it factored, your solutions then are going to be the exact same thing. What will make each one of them equal to 0? The 3 out front does nothing, we just ignore that. So we'd have negative 3 for the first one and positive 1 for the second one. So there's our two solutions for that one. Let's just go back and look at a couple of different square root ones. So remember in this case we have that 0 in the middle. So we want to figure out what product multiplies to give us 9. But adds up to 0, so that'll give you plus 3 and minus 3. So our solutions then are the opposites, negative 3 and positive 3 as well. Okay, and this last one, we can't take out the 4, but remember we can square root it. So our factors would be 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 3. And in this case, you got to be a little bit more careful. You can't just do the opposite. So your x isn't going to equal negative 3 by itself because we have that 2 in front. So what we want to do is, let me just show you on the side here. We want to figure out where is 2x plus 3 going to equal 0. So if we were to solve this little mini equation, we'd get the 3 over, and then the last step would be to divide by 2. So our answer should be negative 3 over 2. So what you have to do in all of these is always do the opposite. So the opposite of positive 3 is negative 3, and then divide by that number in front, divide by the 2. And our second one would be opposite of negative 3 is positive 3, and divide by 2 again. So we're always dividing by that front number, even when that front number isn't there. So if you look, let's go back to one of these ones. We have a 1 in front of those, so really what we're doing is we're going negative 3 divided by 1, and 1 divided by 1, but when you divide by 1, nothing changes, so that's why we don't have to worry about it. So if there is a number in front, you have to divide by that as part of your answer. Okay, and that's it for factoring. So a pretty short lesson. So you're just solving equations, you factor first, and then figure out your factors from there. Well, maybe let's do one more. So if I gave you where the factors weren't equal to 0, so let's do one of those. So let's do something like this. So you can see there's your equation. We want to factor that to solve it. So what we have to do, it has to be equal to 0. So the first step is make it equal to 0. So we have to get rid of that 24. So So we'd subtract 24 on both sides. So now our final answer, our final factored thing will be minus 24 equal to 0. Okay, so it's pretty easy. Just move things one side or the other just by doing the opposite. So if it's positive on one side, it'll be negative on the other, and vice versa. So now we can do our sum and products. So what times what is 24? 12 and 2, that's not going to work. 24 and 1, that's not going to work. 8 and 3 will work, as long as we have positive 8 and negative 3. So then our solutions will be the opposites, negative 8 and positive 3. And we're done.